Good afternoon and welcome everyone who is able to join us here in person, and to those of you who are joining us online wherever you may be for the Burnsville Fire Station 1 Replacement Project Virtual Town Hall. A few years ago, the City of Burnsville had the opportunity to renovate our police city hall spaces, and during that time we were able to engage the community through open houses, through facility tours, information booths at our community events, and so much more. Unfortunately, in this day and age of COVID-19, while we were looking forward to doing that as staff, we just do not have the opportunity to safely do that. So instead, we find ourselves looking for ways to push forward and still provide opportunities to engage the community, to provide information, and to practice social distancing at the same time, but to make sure that we continue this process of community engagement, collecting feedback and sharing information. Members of the public may be able to watch this meeting online at burnsvillemn.gov/meetings or on Comcast Channel 16 or Channel 859. If you'd like to participate during the meeting remotely, you may call in to 651-372-8299, or you can join the meeting online at zoom.us/join. For more information, you can check out our meetings webpage at the cityofburnsville.org. Since we are unable to get out into the community to see you, we're attempting to do the next best thing through the virtual town hall. Today, our staff will have a PowerPoint presentation that will provide the latest information available on the Fire Station #1 replacement project. I will share that our team has been working collaboratively under the umbrella of our organizational values and through the guiding principles of the project to provide not only our fire department, but our community with a great facility that will serve our community for the next 30+ years. With that, I would like to introduce our Fire Chief, BJ Jungman, who will take us through the PowerPoint presentation.
Thanks, Garrett. As everybody said, I'm BJ Jungman. I'm the Fire Chief for the City of Burnsville. We'll run through a PowerPoint here and then give you an opportunity at the end to ask any questions you might have. This project has been a great collaboration amongst many great people to design this fire station. So CNH Architects has been our architect firm. 3 of the architects are in the building here with us today and able to answer any questions as we go along and add in as we move forward, as well as Cross Anderson, who's our construction manager. And we have 2 folks from Cross Anderson that are in the facility with us today and have been instrumental as well. As well as CNH and Cross Anderson, there's been many stakeholders within the city staff, amongst many departments, to make this a successful design. So currently, we have an existing fire station that was built in 1976 at 911 West 140th Street. So many of you may be familiar with Kohl's or Target. It's directly behind Target and across the street from Kohl's. It's kind of tucked back in there. If you don't know what you're looking for, you may not find Station 1. And it was built in 1976, and it was built as a police station back when we were in public safety. And then in 1989, it was remodeled to become solely the fire station. That fire station has served us quite well since it was built and since its inception. But in 2015, we did a space study amongst many city facilities, and it noted that Station 1 was at the end of its life cycle and that it should be replaced as part of Phase 2, which was 5 years from the facility study. Basically, it noted many deficiencies that you may have seen on the previous slide about the size of the building. The fire trucks have gotten bigger. There's only 2 of the bays that the fire truck will actually fit in. We've had many mold issues. We've had water leak issues, a number of different things that any further investment would not be good. So it gave us an opportunity to take a look and say, where should that fire station be? Given that we have 2 fire stations in the city, the other fire station over on Parkwood and 122nd, we looked at many sites to ensure that we can still provide responsive service and reliable service to the community. So we looked at 9 other sites As you may know, the city of Burnsville is 98% built out, so trying to find 4 acres of raw land in a city that's 90% built out within a geographical area becomes very challenging. But we did find 9 sites. We needed easy access to major routes. And really, after we looked at this, the site on 143rd and Newton, which is just southwest of County Road 5 and County Road 42, about 2 blocks, became the #1 site. And we purchased that site earlier this year for just about $1.3 million. As Garrett talked about, we came up with 9 guiding principles that were adopted by the city and the city council. And we'll go through each of those as we go through here. But this has really been our goal, is to be functional and flexible, to provide a safe environment for our staff and for the public, fiscally responsible, make it sustainable. We want a placemaking component. It needs to be efficient and effective for our operation. It needs to be healthy and welcoming. And we wanted to have clear communications internally as well as with the community. So functional, we want it to meet the needs now and into the future. So as we look at the design of this fire station, it's not only meeting the staffing needs and response needs, but we know that the demand amongst the community continues to grow for fire and EMS service. So we want to make sure that we accommodate that. Firefighter health and safety has become a huge issue in the fire service, really in 3 areas. One being cancer. Firefighters are at a higher risk of cancer, and finding carcinogens on these firefighters coming out of the fires. So the design of a fire station really puts the fire station in 2 zones, kind of a hot zone where any of the equipment that goes on calls is located and where we can decontaminate those things, and a cold zone, which is where the living quarters and administrative offices and public areas are. So we really separate and reduce the exposure to our staff. Firefighter sleep and startle response to increase mental health and cardiac strain. So we all have a sleep-wake cycle, and really we're designed areas of the fire station that will help the firefighters sleep when they're not on calls in the evenings. So we want to do things so that when they get a call, it doesn't alert them and startle them as much. So we have a fire station alerting system and lighting that assists with that, as well as designing areas around mental health that are relaxing. You'll see in some of the designs using natural materials, and like I said, some of the lighting really assists in allowing the firefighters to relax. Also, physical fitness and firefighter training features help improve the firefighters' readiness, their safety, and their health. So we've incorporated areas into the fire station design to create a fitness area both inside and outside, as well as create training features so that they can be prepared to respond while still improving their skills. We also wanted a placemaking component. Anybody that's been to Fire Station 1 knows that it's a circular building and it's not real welcoming. If you can find Fire Station 1, you probably can't find the public entrance. I didn't want that, and we didn't want that to be part of the new station. We want it to be welcoming. It's a community asset. So one of the ideas was to have placemaking, and we have 2 folks from ISG, Amanda and Greg, on the line that want to just speak to that real quick. So they've been retained by the city to assist us with the placemaking component. So I'll turn it over to Amanda and Greg.
How's that? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Amanda or Greg, one of you want to kick us off and explain a little bit about what placemaking is all about and how we've worked through a process to hire a consultant and an artist, and what things are going to look like on how Burnsville is going to develop its placemaking at Fire Station number 1?
Great. First of all, I just want to thank you for meeting with us last month and choosing our team to be part of this. It's an exciting project, and I like what you've talked about already, that it's not just a functional place for firefighting equipment, but it's a community asset. So we're excited to kind of weave sculpture and placemaking into that new station.
And to add on a little bit, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
And my name is Amanda Prosser. I'm a landscape architect with ISG. A little bit about the two firms or the two groups here that came together to help with this aspect. ISG is a full-service architecture and engineering firm. Our headquarters is actually in Mankato, but we have 2 office locations in the Minneapolis metro area. And we have worked with Greg Mueller, Mueller Studios, the artist on this project, on other government endeavors in the past. And so from a team standpoint, Greg and I are going to work together here, starting in August through the end of the year to develop a few different options in collaboration with the city staff and the community to really hone in on what that placemaking sculpture piece might look like. And so please look out for a community engagement event, and then also some additional information on the city's website for how to provide your input and stay involved throughout that process. But our hope is that by the end of the year, we'll have a preferred plan and sculpture feature to share with the community, and then would work through final design in the beginning of next year, so that by this time next year, hopefully it's being installed.
Great, thanks Greg and Amanda. I appreciate the overview of that.
Thanks for having us here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have a placemaking piece to have, as you said, not just have it a fire station, but have a community asset and have a place for people to come look at. So it'll be an interesting piece that we're glad to have.
I can appreciate it. We just installed our decontamination shower at our fire station last night, so I can appreciate all that you're putting into your design work.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's a lot changing in the fire service, and we're excited to have a best practice fire station and lead the way. As well as the things we've talked about, sustainability is a big piece of this. We try to incorporate as many sustainable features as possible, but we are not going to certify the building, but we are using that checklist as a guideline. So we're looking at high efficiency mechanical units, energy savings through our lighting, as well as stormwater for capture for irrigation, and multiple uses of our spaces. We want to be fiscally responsible, so we've had extensive budget controls throughout the process, and we want to make sure that we keep the proposed facility on budget. So now what everybody's been waiting for is the great design development. Again, through a great process with our architects and all the stakeholders, I'm very proud of the design that we can roll out to you today. We'll show you a video walkthrough at the end. Again, the architects from CNH, Quinn, Brooke, and Ashley are here to answer any questions. It's been an interesting process and very enlightening for me to design something from the ground up. We chose a modern design with tributes to the traditional fire stations. So you may look at this at first and it pops quite a bit, but we're very proud of this modern design that we've come up with. So what you're looking at here is a look from Newton Avenue, close to 143rd, looking kind of the northeast there, the top picture, and then the bottom picture is an area of the living quarters. So looking at the exterior, the public parking lot in the bottom left here comes off of Newton Avenue into the public entrance, and then the lighter gray area is the apparatus area on the right side of the screen, and the apparatus will have an option to either go onto Newton Avenue or 143rd Street. Here's an elevation view from the public entrance, so facing south, kind of from the northern side. Again, with the city logo, a big number 1 and the fire station over the public entrance, we wanted to make it really clear where you wanted to enter the fire station to come get service or to use parts of the building. So we wanted it clearly marked. So again, this is the view from the north side. This is the apparatus bay area, again, where the apparatus will respond to calls. We wanted that clearly separated so that we're not commingling traffic and creating any type of issues with our responders heading to an emergency while public members are trying to come get service. This is a quick diagram of the layout. You'll see on the right hand the apparatus bays, And in the center of the apparatus base, you'll see service areas where fire gear and extra equipment and decontamination procedures are all done. And on the left-hand side of the screen on the first floor, you'll see a training room and office areas, fitness area. But the very left-hand side of that first floor I want to call out is a public area. That'll be used for training for firefighters as well as emergency operations center as needed. But there'll also be spaces that the public can reserve and use just like we have at City Hall. So when it's not being used by fire staff, it'll be available to the public. And we've been very deliberate about the design to ensure that the public can come in and out of there safely and use it while we continuously provide service to the community on the other part of the facility. On the second floor on that left-hand side is really the living quarters. And that's where the firefighters that are working 24-hour shifts have an ability there's a dining room, a kitchen, a living room, and then bedrooms with attached bathrooms. So again, just like you would at home, the firefighters essentially spend a third of their life at the fire station. So this gives them an opportunity to have a bedroom to sleep and living quarters that are, again, comfortable and relaxing. This is a view from the interior of those community rooms and classroom and EOC. So again, it'll be kind of a classroom setup with a counter and kitchenette on the right, and then a patio to the left. So on break times, you'll be able to go outside and be able to enjoy the space. And that placemaking piece will be just beyond that patio. This is the second floor kind of day room living area. Again, one thing I want to point out here is you see up in front of the day room here is some of those natural stone elements. We were very intentional about the design here, that it didn't look too industrial, that there were some relaxing elements there that make it look homey, as well as some of that drop ceiling in the center that has a different color than just the regular ceiling tiles. So very deliberate with the lighting, very deliberate with the materials used to create an inviting space for the firefighters. All right. Now the part everybody's really waiting for is the video. So we have a video with sound that's a couple minutes long, and then we'll come back on here at the end and have a few more slides, and then we'll take questions. So that video should give you a good idea of what it'll look like. It's amazing what can be done through computer technology to kind of bring that to life. It was amazing to me to see it go from schematics on a piece of paper to all of a sudden walking through it. So it's amazing how far we've come and what it looks like. So we're excited to get started, and actually today's a landmark day because we just opened the bids for bid package 1, and the second bid package will go out next week, with the second bid package being opened at the end of August, and then anticipate construction starting in September of this year, with completion October of 2021. So we are in the midst of this, and excited to break ground, and we've actually are planning on having a groundbreaking ceremony August 24th on Monday. There'll be more information on the city website about that as we move closer. We also invite you to follow the progress on our website at burnsvillemn.gov/firebuild. There's videos on there, just like you saw, as well as some of the schematics to get more information. And there'll be additional information and photos as we move forward. So before I take any questions, I didn't do a very good job of introducing everybody. I think I want to go around here really quick. I'm terrible at introductions, just to make sure everybody gets the chance to get introduced. Garrett and I have introduced ourselves, so why don't we just go around the room. Greg, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely, thanks BJ. My name's Greg Lindberg. I'm the Deputy City Manager. I've been a part of the project team.
Okay.
I'm Brooke Jacobson, one of the architects from CNH Architects.
I'm Ashley Kliss. I'm an interior designer with CNH Architects.
Dale Sonicson with Kraus Anderson, project manager.
Jason Retmuster, project manager with Kraus Anderson.
Quinn Hudson, principal with CNH Architects.
And I'm Terry Ritchie, Assistant Fire Chief of Operations, and on the executive team.
Awesome. So we'll take questions here, but before I do that, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank a number of people that have been involved in this, from the city council and city manager to a number of the design team members you see here today, the architects, the construction managers, numerous stakeholders that have been a part of this, that have been involved, fire staff, as well as the support from the citizens. Without everybody's support, this wouldn't be possible. And we take our mission very seriously, and we're very proud to be able to have a new facility to operate in well into the future. So with that, we will take questions. So there's an opportunity to participate through, I believe, Facebook and Zoom to ask questions.
That's correct. We'll wait for questions to come in, and as we see them, we'll pass them along to folks here.
As we're waiting, I'll just, again, thank you, BJ, for such a thorough presentation on where we're at with the fire station and what lies ahead for us. Again, to continue to make sure that the community has opportunities to be involved in this project. You heard a little bit about placemaking, and we just want to invite you to be looking for more opportunities coming in August to be a part of that design experience and to help us. One of the things we didn't necessarily share that came out is there is a large retaining wall that is part of this property, and our hope is that whatever that experience ends up being, that it'll be right in the front entryway, and we'll have opportunities for people to be determining what that interaction and that wall looks like when the project is all said and done. Any questions?
BJ, Garrett, we're still waiting on questions from the community, but maybe we could talk a little bit about public access to the space once completed. Is there space that's open to the public? What will the community, or what should the community expect in terms of the facility itself?
That's a great question. There'll be 3 spaces that are available to the public when they're not being used by the fire department. There's 2 conference rooms, or breakout rooms we'd call them, that accommodate 12 people per room, and then the classroom EOC area that will accommodate 40 people with chairs and tables, and a few more if you take out the tables. So those spaces will be available when they're not being used by fire staff, and we imagine that being reserved similar to the city hall spaces through Garrett's folks at City Hall. So more to come on that as we get closer to the opening, but they will be available to the public to use. And it'll be a nice expansion as many of our city hall facilities get used expansively by the public, and unfortunately we don't have enough space many times to accommodate all the folks that would like to use the public space.
Thanks, BJ. I know that first level in the entry to the community really opens that space up with some of the patio space that we saw as well. So excellent, thank you. Question that maybe Assistant Chief Ritchie could respond to: how many firefighters will work out of the station when it's open?
Great question. When this fire station opens, we'll have about 16, 17 firefighters working total out of the fire station, not per day, but we'll have 11 working out of that station per day until 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, 6 working out of that station a day up until 8 o'clock at night, and then we drop down to 5.
Excellent, thank you, Terry. How about capacity for the future? Does the station allow for additional firefighter paramedics into the future?
Yeah, so the current fire station we're in right now, we can house 6 firefighters. We have 6 bedrooms right now at the current fire station. Obviously, to the chief's point, when we thought about this building into the future, is we thought about future expansion. So the new fire station now has 12 bedrooms. So we will have the ability to expand in the future.
Thank you, sir. Question from Bob over Zoom says, in the past you have provided precinct voting space. Will there be one in the new station?
I believe that is yet to be determined. We'll work with the city clerk on that, who determines where and brings that to the city council where the precincts are. I know we used to host that, but that very well may be a possibility.
Thanks, Chief, and to follow up on that, certainly will be something that we look at as we identify precinct locations, just depending on area of the city and what the needs are, but it would make a lot of sense to use some of that space for that. Waiting on additional questions from Zoom, but Chief, maybe you could take this one. Plans for rebuilding or changes to fire station number 2 as a result of this project?
Yeah, so, we've applied for a grant to update the exhaust system at station number 2, but more holistically, in phase 3 of the facility plan talks about remodeling fire station 2 there off of 122nd in Parkwood. So once this station is completed, we'll start to look at what does station 2 look like and what does it need. One of the goals is to make sure that we bring it up to the best practice standards that we're establishing with the new station 1. So there'll definitely need to be some modifications a few years down the road, but that's on the horizon for 5 years from now. So we'll start the planning process for that.
Excellent, thanks, Chief, and perhaps a follow-up that you could take or that Assistant Chief Ritchie could take. Do all fire trucks or response come out of Station 1 now, or is there another station, which I think connects back to that last question? And a follow-up to that, will there be any impacts during construction in terms of operation from a fire service perspective?
So the one beauty thing about during construction is obviously finding a new piece of land and building the fire station there is there will be no impact with our daily response right now. The nice thing about that is we'll respond until the new station is built and hopefully make that nice transition is taking all the trucks one day and moving them to the new facility. So no, we have, like the chief said, we have 2 fire stations, so both respond out of there. Station 1 is the little bit busier of the stations, probably about 700 to 800 calls, 900 calls a year more than Station 2.
Thanks, Terry.
And I would just add to that, one thing that the citizens probably don't realize is that all of our trucks are equipped with GPS, so the closest available truck responds to them regardless of what station it comes out of. So we think of the fire station as the physical housing of it, but if the truck is available and it's closest to the call, it'll respond. So there's no geographical boundaries.
Thanks, Chief. Question from Greg over Zoom. Will the gathering place outdoors be accessible directly from the parking lot without going inside the building, or does one have to enter the building first?
Yeah, the patio gathering space will be available directly from the parking lot. It's very close to that placemaking area, so.
Thanks, Chief. I think you mentioned this before, BJ, but perhaps you can reiterate again, plans for a groundbreaking ceremony, and can the public attend?
Yeah, we're just in the planning process and working on getting the invites out and getting it publicized, but Monday, I believe it's August 24th. I don't have the calendar right in front of me, but August 24th at 4 p.m. at the site on 143rd and Newton, we'll be having the groundbreaking ceremony, and the public is welcome to attend, and we'd love to have people there and help us celebrate this exciting time.
Thank you, Chief. We are still waiting on any additional questions from the public, so we would welcome the community to ask any questions electronically, depending on your platform of choice. Garrett, I think that you addressed this a little bit earlier, but how long do we expect the station to last, and how does the city kind of plan for the future when it comes to major capital improvements like this project?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. You know, when we work with our planning process for a station like this, we're really looking at how can we create spaces that we really, other than your basic maintenance type things, don't have to touch for at least 20 to 30 more years, right? So Assistant Chief Ritchie talked about the fact that there was expansion thoughts put into this. So we don't want to be putting up a new building and then coming back to our community and to our city council 5 years from now saying, sorry, we didn't foresee this opportunity. So, you know, our goal and hope and dream is when we work with our architect and our core team and the community to come up with these designs is that you get buildings and designs in place that last us for that 20 to 30 plus years. Obviously, there are things that you cannot foresee about changes in the future that may impact that. But based on the information we have available to us right now and what we foresee for population and response needs in our community, we are very comfortable that this design and this project is going to serve the community well for years to come.
Thanks, Garrett. Bob from Zoom just asked if there would be a traditional brass fire pole in the station or not.
That's a great question. That is a great traditional element that we want to keep in the fire station. So yes, there will be, since it's a two-story fire station, and it's the first two-story fire station in the city, it will have a fire pole that goes from the residential area down to the apparatus bay area. So we are excited to have that as an addition.
Excellent, good question indeed. Certainly a topic of conversation in the project.
Oh yeah.
Not seeing any additional questions, but we will certainly entertain them electronically from the community. Depending on your platform, please feel free.
Well, we have a break in the action. What if we give our architects a minute to talk about what they're excited about this project?
Thank you. This is Quinn Hudson from CNH Architects, and I think there's so many things that we can talk about. I'll just pick one that I think that for me is really important to our experience in designing a fire station. That's really being aware of what are the best practices to really serve the firefighters that are there, both in function but also in health. Health is such a big important aspect for the changing fire service, and we've talked about in the presentation the carcinogen protection, but also mental health, exercise, relaxation. There's a lot that has been coming out in the last 5 to even last year that there's so many opportunities to improve that experience for the firefighter and really provide that extra protection for those who are out there protecting us. So that's what excites me.
This is Brooke Jacobson from CNH Architects. In addition to what Quinn brought up, which are definitely important and unique aspects, I think just the overall aesthetic of the building and having that kind of modern take on a fire station. Not only do you have the placemaking aspect, but the station itself, I think, becomes part of that placemaking with the aesthetic. But then also, in addition to the health aspect that Quinn was mentioning, creating that just homey residence for the firefighters that are there all day long that live there, and working with them to create a space for them that they like.
I'm Ashley Kliss with CNH Architects, and I think for me, the fun part about the project was seeing where we started and now where we've ended up, and I'm really excited for the construction to start and see that whole process and then have the finished station to actually be able to tour and visit.
How about the same question to our construction managers? They get to see all kinds of buildings as well as our architects. So what, from their perspective, they've been part of this whole design process as well, particularly Jason, is what are your thoughts and excitements around this project?
I think we're just excited to
Get going?
get going. No, I think just speaking for myself and a lot of the people on our team, we're excited about the relationship that we've built with the city and the relationship that we're building with the architects, with CNH, and we're just excited to carry that forward into this project. We're excited, I mean, who's not excited to build a fire station? I think that's my big thing, is just, I'm excited about developing the relationships as
Great.
we move forward.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out that there's a new, I don't call it a twist, but something new in the state building code from this spring that's incorporated into this project. Quinn, maybe you can address it a little bit more, but a shelter-in-place structure that's now required for all first responder facilities, as well as any new K-12 educational facilities. So basically, a storm shelter, tornado shelter that has certain requirements to withstand impact. And when I first heard about it getting incorporated in this project, that's when I was first made aware of that new regulation. So I found that interesting moving forward.
That was an interesting aspect to include, and I think it's a great opportunity to make sure that the firefighters are protected if there is a direct storm coming that way, that, you know, they're there to be able to then go out and help others rather than helping themselves, so.
All right. I would once again like to thank all of the folks who were able to join us here at City Hall today to be a part of the Fire Station 1 virtual open house. I'd like to share the fact that this is our first step of the engagement process. We are continuing to work as a core team with our stakeholders and with the community to make sure that throughout this process, you have an opportunity to hear information, learn about the project, share feedback, and things like that. I know that BJ referenced that we do have a website. Throughout the previous City Hall Police project, we were able to provide regular updates of how that construction process went. Now, a few years down the road from that, we're looking forward to working with Kraus Anderson on some interactive type flyovers of the spaces and cameras that can be inside the building showing that progress live or almost in real time or just shortly after what has taken place. So we're excited to have that opportunity to share with the public and to be engaged in this project along the way. Again, we're looking to be breaking ground in September and hopes that if all goes well, that they'll be moving into that sometime late in 2022. So 2021, sorry. So again, thank you to everyone who is here and who had the opportunity to join us online or watch us at one of the platforms. Please contact us if you have any additional questions, and please stay involved in this project along the way.